Screw you. You're the worst.
Hello and welcome to episode number 125 of Unrelenting. Breaking, I am Darren O'Neill. He is Gene Nevtuliev. Breaking news, appliance emergency. Did the tea kettle not get warm fast enough? Or I was guessing something spewing water. What did we have? Boots on the ground.
No. Well, you remember how last episode we talked about your dryer?
Yes. The lack
You
of
bastard.
the lack of drying.
Well, apparently my dryer was listening to that episode.
Well, they're on Wi-Fi now, so they talk to each other.
Well, it is an LG, so
Mine too. They're like, wait, hey.
They're talking back to the HQ, listening to podcasts, and say, "Hey, hold up!
They
I've
noticed.
been working for 13 years without breaking. That's not right."
They noticed we were both. They're like, "Oh, our Wi-Fi has a clean feed connection at the same time of yours, so we could talk." The dryers right now are discussing what to do while piggybacking on our clean feed connection.
Exactly. That's exactly it. So anyway, I think I got it going. It's fine, but yeah, darnest thing, it worked. It you could turn it on and get it going, but the clothes didn't feel like they were super dry. So the sensor must not be working right.
Now, were they getting warm? I mean, was there warm air coming through?
There's definitely warm air, but it was, I think what was happening was it was turning off prematurely before the clothes were as dry as they're supposed to be.
Right. The sensor gets covered up in gunk for some reason.
The sensor gets covered up in lint. Yeah. So I went in, got my vacuum cleaner, I vacuumed all that out so the sensor's nice and open.
Now, did you find the two little metal air bars that are the moisture sensor that you have to wipe off with like isopropyl alcohol or whatever you got to?
I did not. No, that's probably my next step.
Because that would be it. Because that was the first thing I did
pesky
too.
Podcast to come and do instead of tinkering with it longer.
Well, that was the first thing I did, which was I took the compressed air, as I mentioned the last time, and that was beautiful because then compressed air flew everywhere. And here's the thing.
Exactly. I used a vacuum cleaner.
Well, there was no way to fit that into the little slot. I mean, I guess I need to get some kind of a attachment for it.
Yeah.
Because the beautiful thing is when you are standing right in front of my dryer, if you turn around, you are just as close to like 5 NAS systems that are sitting on a shelf.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's perfect because they like eating dust lints and things. Yeah.
Perfect. Nothing to worry about at all. Computer equipment.
Your air will be super clean in no time.
Yeah. Well, that's it. It'll all just suck it right on in. Need to put an air filter down in the that little area. Nice HEPA.
Not a bad idea. Yeah.
Nice HEPA filter.
Yeah, HEPA, and I find that the ones with ionizers work a lot better.
Remember the old ones in the olden days that were nothing but ionizers?
Oh, yeah, I had those.
The sharper image one?
They were great. You take the thing out, it's got like metal blades. You just wash them off. All the gunk is gone. They're stainless. You stick them back in, keeps working.
Then after that, they're like, oh, wait, this is putting too much ozone into the air. It's going to kill you.
Well, I don't know if it was that or they just simply realized, holy shit, people never have to buy a filter. That's no good.
Right. This is it. Well, although it didn't last forever, I'll give it that. It eventually broke down.
Well, it did die, yeah.
The HEPA ones.
But it worked while it was working.
It did. And the HEPA ones, you're right. Every 6 months to a year, depending on how bad it is in your particular location of the world and house, you need to replace those. Otherwise, they stop working.
Yeah, that's totally right.
You can tell because you can put your hand like above it. You'll notice, well, it doesn't seem like there's hardly any air coming out anymore. They get all filled up with gunk.
Yeah. And you just think if you didn't have them, what's going into your lungs?
See, I don't know. I'm always curious. Does it really make that much of it? Do you think it does?
Have you not gone to the bodies exhibit?
No.
Where, you know what it is, right?
No, I mean, it's where you like walk through and...
I'm sure some people have seen. So there's this German, I don't know what he is. I guess he's an artist that developed a process of modern mummification, essentially. It's running urethane through a dead body's blood vessels
Ooh.
to plasticize it, effectively creating a hard body tissue, because you got veins and capillaries and everything running through there, without the need for a supportive structure like bones or muscles. And so in this bodies exhibit, there are bodies of people that have either volunteered, or actually I think a lot of people have paid to be in it after they're dead, to where he does things to make it very visible. And you should look up bodies exhibit and you'll see some photos.
It is the easiest way to get somebody to pay after they're dead.
Well, it's one way, and they're effectively a mummy. They're preserved for eternity as an art exhibit.
Ooh.
And so you've got like bodies with no skin, but all the muscles and stuff are visible. You've got bodies where the muscles are all peeled back, and you just have the blood network visible.
It's all fun
very
and games,
interesting.
man. It is all fun and games until the necrophiliacs show up.
Oh, I guarantee you, they love that shit. They're going once a week.
Like we'd like a subscription.
Yeah, it's been around for probably a good 20, 30 years that I remember, but I've gotten to it a couple times. It was very, very interesting. I think there probably squeamish people would get the heebie-jeebies from essentially looking around dead people in various forms of dissection.
Right. You want to avoid the fact that by admitting that this is what's going on inside yourself, your mortality is a real thing and you are not going to live forever.
Well, and a couple things there. And I mean, I don't know how, religious people would react to it, but for me, it was certainly a lot more of a, yeah, we're a machine kind of moment, because it's pretty obvious when you take apart the human body, it is very much a machine.
It's a well-built machine, a well-designed machine.
Not at all. Not whatsoever. Most machines built by humans way superior to what the body is.
Yeah, it all depends what it can do and can't do.
Yeah, that's true. Have you seen the new robots?
Some of them, yeah.
They can turn their bodies 360 degrees. That's pretty freaking useful.
Well, if you need somebody to make you breakfast, and do you vacuum the floor at the same time?
Have you seen the Terminator or Terminator 2 or Terminator 3?
Have we not learned anything from fiction?
It's superior action, baby.
Could be.
Anyway, and Musk's got his own robot now too.
Well, he's got to, because the cars aren't doing very well. Now that Trump's like, I'm going to screw all you electric car guys and take away the electric thing. I'm going to take away the mandate. I love your product, but no, I don't want people to have to buy them.
Well, that's hyperbole, because you don't get any kind of rebate buying a Tesla anyway, because they were one of the first company to really get volume of electric cars. They ran into their cap limits on those rebates a long time ago. So that does nothing to Tesla. It does something to GM and Ford.
He wants to keep the gas-powered cars around a lot longer.
I know, but my point is that talking about
the electric car,
Musk is going to be hurt by the removal of rebates. No, he's going to, in fact, be better off, because the competition still has rebates. Tesla doesn't.
Didn't know. I mean, I wasn't even talking about the rebate portion of it. Just giving people choice.
That's the only thing the government can do. That's the government's only involvement with it.
Well, that's not true, because they are trying to make it illegal to even sell gas-powered cars. It hasn't happened yet.
I don't think they're doing that federally.
There is a federal, but I don't think it's ever going to be enacted. There's a lot of these things that go through and they're like, well, we can do this. It's like,
yeah.
I don't know if that's ever going to be, like a lot of these things, they're just not enforceable, but that's why politicians running, you have to understand the world. When presidents go out there, and want to campaign to be president and say, I'm going to do this, this, and this, it's like a lot of the stuff they say, they really don't have control over.
That's absolutely the case. That was the case with Trump last time.
It's like, I'm just going to tell you the things that you want to hear.
There are plenty of things that were good about Trump, but most of the things that were good were the result of inaction rather than action.
Yeah. Let business do business.
Yeah.
Not
Whereas the
overregulate.
Democrats overact and overfuck things up.
Well, now it's very interesting to me. That's not a coincidence that Kamala Harris is spewing out a lot of Trump's policies, including stealing the no taxes on tips.
I think that's hilarious.
It is.
It also tells you that, once again, that Trump is not a far right winger. Trump is very much a moderate.
You would think. You would think that would be quite
Well, that's
obvious.
a moderate position, because why would you single out a single group of workers to provide them a benefit no one else gets? That's kind of socialist.
It's quite interesting when you look at exactly how that all went down. As people point out, Kamala Harris, where normally a vice president doesn't do a whole lot, including Joey Biden when he had the gig, including Mike Pence, didn't really do a whole lot. But Kamala Harris...
Mostly just withhold money from Ukraine.
Well, Kamala Harris is the one vice president that I can remember in our lifetime. How many besides her? When was the last one, I guess would be the better question, that had a 50-50 Senate that when it came down to a tie, they had to be the tiebreaker? It's been a while.
Yeah, it has definitely been a while. I agree with that.
So,
by the way, you could get in trouble for mispronouncing her name.
Kamala Chameleon?
Yeah, it's Kamala.
Kamala.
Yeah.
Will we be put into some kind of concentration
Kamala
camp?
is Indian. Kamala is black, apparently.
Is that why they're making the change?
There's a clip of one of the morning shows where they're it was a CNN show where they're admonishing the CNN host for mispronouncing her name.
Interesting.
And it's literally that. I mean, it's just, where do you accentuate in the name? And Kamala, I believe, anyway, could be wrong, but I believe is the correct Indian pronunciation of her name, which it's an Indian name.
Well, how about here? Did I get it right here? I mean, I hope I got that right there then. I mean,
wow, that was an amazing clip from the 80s that you found.
Right, it's right out of.
Yeah, it's perfect. The only thing it's missing is a little cowbell.
We need to add some cowbell.
Cowbell.
We'll get the producers
that little
on
cowbell, but good to go.
And it's like, this is the perfect 1980s song. I think so. That says that guy's voice is terrible. Yeah, I know.
It's androgynous.
Yeah, I had to put a lot of reverb on there and a little bit of...
I saw the reverb, but it's still missing cowbell. That would fix it.
Yeah, the cowbell would be perfect. And then I realized that Boy George, had some vocal issues as well. And he can barely sing now, too. So it could be just an homage to him that
Well, he's been smoking a lot of fat cigars.
And other things for Boy George, I'm sure. But the guy seems like a nice guy. Don't have no problem with
He always seemed like a nice guy. I mean, that's the thing, is all these like gay singers from the 80s that were ambiguously gay. Some of them got married.
And you're like, sure.
Not to people of the same sex even, and had kids. But no, I think the music, because it didn't have a push down your throat because why are you homophobic agenda behind it. That was back in the day when, like, you can make music, you just can't make gay music,
right?
Or you can make a gay music, but it's not going to be on a radio. So a lot of these songs were very like, nobody knew that what's his face, I Gotta Have Faith guy,
George Michael from Wham.
George Michael was singing songs about boys, not girls. People just like loved his music.
And hell, even when Melissa Etheridge came out, nobody knew for a while.
Well, I mean, that was everybody knew.
You're like, people in the know really knew.
I mean, not even people in the know. Just look at her.
See, now that seems like making judgments based upon appearance.
And when people decide to appear in a way that is different, I think it's appropriate, isn't it?
Well, I noticed that your grok.
It's ma'am, I tell you.
Your grok interpretation of what is Sir Gene totally missed out that you've got gray hair in the beard.
It did. Clearly Grok is using some old photos.
They're like, wait, we need to get.
But I do own that T-shirt, that color T-shirt. I literally have. So I'm like, huh.
Did it
interesting?
Know? Like I know it's.
And I did have that plant years ago. I don't anymore.
Well, what happened to it? You didn't take care of it, man.
No, it got infested with bugs.
Well, that's no good.
Yeah, I had to get my spider population rekindled to keep the bugs down.
You got to keep like 8,000 spiders crawling around the house.
Least. I've got more than that.
You have like them tagged so you know exactly. And you're like, oh, look, they're
Fred. Microchipped. They're all microchipped.
These must be pretty big spiders or really small microchips.
I know, right? Exactly. Spiders are cool. I like spiders. I do not ever kill spiders. Sometimes I have to take down their spider webs, but spiders are very beneficial as they control the indoor bug population.
But what if you don't have any indoor bugs and you only have spiders?
Well, that's impossible because spiders will die without food.
Right. Like
so if you have nothing for them to eat, but you still have spiders, guess what? You have things for them to eat.
We got other things. Got to look for the other things.
The spiders are not sneaking into your fridge and looking around to see what's edible.
Are you sure?
No, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. They only eat things that are alive.
The more you learn,
dead stuff.
The more you learn on the Unrelenting show. I do want to say it was a very strange week. We actually got plenty of support for the show.
What's up with that?
I don't know. It's worrisome.
Let's repeat it.
Like, why did this happen? What did we do right? Everybody must have loved the whole concept of the wife curling. That was a damn good episode. So maybe the whole concept of tossing your wife across a bed with silk sheets and a silk negligee to see how far off the bed she could fly. That's what our audience was like. Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Exactly.
These guys have a great idea, man. It'll be like it's a nice romance. You can be like, we're getting all romantic. And then I'll be like, woo, throw her right across.
This show does not provide romance advice. Any advice misconstrued as advice is not the fault of the show.
No, we do not. But I think we can do the donation side because I think we have to. This may take a while.
Let's do it.
And I'm going to start from the other. Normally, we're like, woo, let's start at the top. But let's start at the bottom today with our buddy CSB who came in with 3333 Satoshis. And he says, don't mess with Texas and listen to a podcast by Texans for Texans, www.just2goodoldboys.com. Have you heard of that, Gene?
Sounds interesting. I'll have to check it out.
Like just2goodoldboys.com. That's what CSB wants you to listen to this week. Yeah. And then Dreb Scott just came in twice with 4567 Satoshis. And he says it's being completely whitewashed that Kamala basically slept her way to the top and has no political chops. Explain why she won't want to debate. Explains why she won't want to debate. Well, she's going to have to debate. At least one. Although the fact that
I hear she's a master at it.
Well, she says so. She says so.
Mm-hmm.
But she can't really go out there and be, Donald Trump's afraid to debate me. When he's like, nope, let's do like 4,000 debates. She's like, I'll do one. I mean, it kind of shows.
Well, there's no time. The election's next, in a month.
It's so close.
So who's got time to debate?
Got to be quick. I mean, the fact that she's not even talking to the media.
No.
I don't understand why the media just doesn't turn on her. They must really just hate Trump.
Why would they?
Well, why wouldn't you? It's
because Orange Man bad. Come on, dude. Are you not up with the program?
It's one thing to be in the pocket of a political party. It's another when the candidate refuses to talk to you. I mean, Time Magazine, They showed up and they're like, hey, Kamala, we love you. We're making you the cover. You're like our person of the millennium. We love you. We love you. Can we get a quick interview? No. Like, what? You won't even give an interview to Time Magazine, who basically wants to fillet you with a beautiful cover.
No, I think she's had enough of that over the course of her life. Probably.
Well, I thought she was mainly a giver, though. Not a taker. It doesn't seem like she thinks she's had a...
I think she's a whatever you pay her for, is what I think.
I think she was doing commercials for knee pads back in the day. Just want to say. I don't mean that in a mean way, in any way, shape, or form. But then...
for the pantsuits.
Right. Why did she's stealing Donald Trump's ideas and Hillary Clinton's look?
Well, it sounds like a winning combo. I mean, she's going to win on that.
Because people are that dumb where they don't pay attention and they don't know that Kamala was the one that signed off on 87,000 new IRS agents. I believe that was the number. It's close.
Yeah. Well,
to go after the average mom and pop and Joe and waitress that all want to make sure they get every penny of the taxes they can. And then she comes out when Donald Trump says it and goes, oh, well, no, I'm not going to make you pay taxes. It doesn't, anybody that's paying attention. That was mean old
Joe's idea to do that, not hers.
Well, this is the interesting thing, because now I think she has to. You can't do this thing. Most politicians, Donald Trump's doing it again. On day one, I will. Well, Kamala Harris can't do that because she's fucking the vice president. Well, no, she is the vice president right now. She fucks somebody else.
She is saying the exactly same thing. She's like, we're going to fix the economy. We're going to fix the inflation. We're going to fix the border.
On day
one.
Vote
for me.
But it's like, but you're already in. You're in there. You're right now. You're the number two. So
can I ask a simple question here? Like, sorry to interrupt the donations, but
you're not sorry.
Who's running the country right now?
Well, Kamala's out on the campaign trail. Joe is eating ice cream.
Right.
So it's probably not either one of them.
So somebody with the initials BAO.
It might be, or I don't even know if it's him. It could even be Axelrod. It could be a lot of these people that were around with Obama as well, because the reality is most of the people that are running the things are not the ones that come and go every 4 to 8 years. There are people that are behind the scenes.
He ever left.
Well, you think Barack's still sitting in the White House? Joe comes in and Barack's like, I'm fucking busy. Get out of here.
Yep.
Joe's like, sorry, didn't mean to.
I think that when the Pentagon said, well, we told Trump we're going to remove troops, but obviously we're not going to move troops. I think that's because they had a different order.
I like that the clip came out again. Well, again, because, this is now 3.5, 4 years later of Kamala Harris when running for vice president, said on day one, her and Joe, we're going to make sure that all of those cages, all of those detention centers at the border were closed.
Yeah.
You know how many of those were closed, Gene? None.
Yeah. Well, none of them were closed, but at the same time, they kind of weren't really wrong because that those cages used to hold 100% of the people crossing over the border.
Well, now they don't even get a half or a third of
They don't get a tenth of that. Now they're literally standing there with phones and $10,000 bills and hand out as people are crossing over.
Right. Yeah. There's buses, there's planes, there's dirigibles.
It's about as organized as you can get. It is the most organized illegal entry point in the country. I was telling my nieces that, if you can't get a visa anymore to the U.S., just get a visa to Mexico. That's all you need.
Close enough. Just walk right over the border.
Yeah, you don't have to walk. You can take a vehicle across the border.
I asked ChatGPT, I'm like, where can I take a train trip to from the depot here in Joliet? And one of the first suggestions was Austin. I'm like, really? I have a train line right from Gene to Chicago.
That is about a mile away from my house. Yeah.
The Texas Eagle. So that's even better. I can get there And then I could find, it's like would I die on the 1 mile to get to your house? Is it like crime?
Right. It's a high risk crime area. So there's that.
And then there's the gates with all of the caviar guys. I mean, they are the toughest caviar guys in the country. Exist right outside of Austin.
Yeah, that's true too, actually. Yeah. There's a lot of gates around, that's for sure.
Well, you got to keep the undesirables out, whatever they may be.
But
then continuing our donation segment, $51.99 coming in from a dude named Ben.
What the hell, man? He's got too much money to waste?
We remember the last show. I was like, what? He couldn't even get up to $100 total before he stopped donating? Like, I didn't. So now that this is a very
So we switched to dollars off Satoshis then?
Yeah. This is $51.99. Nice.
Well, that's about 1 billion Satoshis right there.
I know. And now that dude named Ben let me know that just like trashing people for not donating will make them donate. This adds a whole new level to the show.
Well, now we know what to do.
Now we know what works. He says, I mean, you can just imagine the tone here. He says, Darren, just so you'll read the note, promote just 2 good old boys. Here's twice what you asked for. It's true that I have a real job and my wife does not. If you like Gene and I, send the show to a friend and have them subscribe. Cue the theme song. I guess he wants just some good old boys.
Yeah, that's a good song.
Never meaning no harm.
That I don't have to pay any royalties for.
Beats all you never saw, been in trouble with the law, but they don't enforce. So it's okay.
That's pretty good. That's enough deviation.
That's right. It's a totally different song.
A totally different song, but similar enough in tone.
I mean, really, and Waylon's not going to sue me.
No, you're buddies.
He's like, what? I don't even know why.
Yeah. So that's the second commercial now for Just 2 Good Old Boys.
I know, which
in this show.
This is like random number donation. And those, were like, people want to, on this show, they really want to talk about Gene's other show. I get why dude named Ben wants to. I don't know why CSB wants to. He's donating to a show so you could talk about your own show.
Right. Yeah. No, he does that for a lot of shows, which I appreciate. That's good stuff.
It is intriguing. And I was like, well, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good week already. Just $51.99. That's a pretty good week for Unrelenting.
Pretty good.
But then Scott Gorman came in with $103.48.
Wow, Scott, look at that.
And I think that's a Hyundai plus paying PayPal's exorbitant $3.48 for pushing a few.
The VIG.
PayPal, they make a lot of VIG.
Hey, Scott, have you heard of a show called Just 2 Good Old Boys? You might want to check out.
I mean, surprisingly enough, he was like, I've heard about this show. No, he doesn't. He says, hey, Darren and Gene, loving the Unrelenting show. A U.S. expat living permanently in Oxfordshire, UK. Is it Oxfordshire or Oxfordshire? Oxfordshire, I guess.
I think it's Oxfordshire.
In the UK. Keep up the great work. He says, Gene, let's hear more about vitamin D.
Vitamin D's good stuff, man. No medical advice provided on the show, but it is good stuff. And most, I would assume the UK wouldn't be too different, but most Americans are severely under, what's the phrase? They don't have enough vitamin D in their blood. So I've been taking 15,000 IU for years. And then before that, I was taking 10,000 IU. And even with that, my vitamin D results from lab work yearly are average. They're not low. They're not high. So,
even with your 10,000 a day,
15,000. Yeah.
You're up to 15,000 now. Damn.
Yeah. I've been on 15 for about a year and a half.
You get no sun at all? Is that the problem?
No. Well, I used to jet ski all the time. I used to be out using my skin to generate vitamin D. Incidentally, I think I said the right number in a previous show. So this is a completely wrong number, but in the right realm. It's it's close to the right number. people talk about like 10,000 IU of vitamin D, like, holy shit, that's like 20 times higher than the government recommends. Okay. Do you know how much 1 hour of sunlight, like if you're on the beach or anywhere else where you don't have your shirt on, do you know how much vitamin D is generated?
Well, it depends how much skin you have under that shirt.
It depends on how much skin you have. And let's say it's a sunny day. It's not a cloudy day.
I am a 6'6" dude, so I'm just like a big sail in the wind.
Yeah. So the average person will generate 40,000 IUs in 1 hour.
And so your little pill of 50 is like an hour of sunshine.
15.
Well, the pills are 50. You can get them in 50 IU on the vitamin D.
Oh, 50 IU. No, I thought you said 15,000. No. Yeah, you can get anything.
50,000, 50.
Yeah, you can't get 50 without a prescription.
Are you sure?
You can get 5,000, which is what most people get.
Oh, is it 5,000?
Yeah, it's 5,000.
I'm thinking it was 50,000. But I mean, numbers, they become meaningless. That's the problem.
Yeah. So I take 3 of the 5,000s per day.
If I take the vitamin D from now, and let's see, 5,000 IU.
Oh, that reminds me, I'm going to take my B12 right now.
Okay, everybody, if you got B12, now is the time to take it.
I've got the B12 sitting right next to the microphone for a reason.
It is the B12 time. Oddly enough, I just took some metoprolol and some flecainide.
Oh, for your heart.
And I also, a little earlier, did the CoQ10.
How much metoprolol do they give you?
It's a small dose. Mm-hmm. It is, what's the milligrams on it?
40?
I think that was, what's the smaller pill? I forget now, but it's like 1.5. So I have to still go through the pain in the ass of like cutting a pill in half, which reminds me of being a kid.
Yeah.
Which I had to do with the, back then.
Just take 2 pills. Don't worry about it.
It's like, it'll all be fine. It'll be good.
It's all good.
You can take 2 in the morning and 1 at night as well.
Yeah. They gave me like a quadruple dose of that when I was out for my radiation scan.
Like, your heart is pumping a little too fast, sir.
A lot too fast.
We're afraid
we'd like to get it to about 50. So we're just going to keep pumping you until it slows down to 50.
2 beats per minute. They want to get a nice good picture where if it's going a little too fast.
Well, it's the resolution of the camera, apparently. So
they're like, we can't. Your heart is beating too fast, sir. It may explode when we put the nuclear stuff in.
Well, I don't think that's quite it. No, I think it's the resolution of the scans. Like, the refresh rate's not sufficient enough to pick up a heartbeat that's beating much faster than that.
See, Brooklyn just came in with 5,000 sats and says, thanks for the entertainment. Well, he did say this was the most underrated show on the internets.
It's true.
It is very true. And so now you got your Scott Gorman, God, thank you. And he got his vitamin D talk. Mm-hmm. I take mine. I haven't been taking the 5,000 again. When that was, again, I cut down on a bunch of that stuff when I thought that was what was causing the heart rate to go crazy. And now it seems like we know.
But you can't take vitamin D without magnesium.
I do. And I take the magnesium twice daily as well. The magnesium oxide is what it tends to be. I used to take the magnesium citrate. But now I do the mag-ox. And I've noticed that the ones that are in caplet form will come out of you much quicker than the ones in tablet form. Because magnesium, kids, is a nice laxative for. So you have to know how much you're taking and when and with what.
Yeah, it's pink.
Well, this is a black pill. This is from now.
Oh, you're black pilled now, are you?
It looks a lot like the A-Reds vitamin that I take, which is red, but this is a little black pill, and it's like, that's the mag-ox. And I'm like, well, that's weird. It's the same dose as like the little white tablet that the mag-ox brand has. But I've also seen the little white tablet also from the same company, which is, I don't know. That's what I end up buying most of the vitamins and supplements from that brand. I don't know why. It just tends to be the one that they seem to work okay. They seem to work well.
Well, as long as you're getting the magnesium, because if you just take vitamin D, then it's going to have more free calcium in your blood, which could result in plaque, which your doctor will make you go and do a radioactive X-ray if he finds that.
And then they're going to take like a little thing and drive it through your veins. You're like, we're going to go scrape that stuff out, Gene.
Yeah. If you're lucky.
You're
Or
right.
they're just going to say, yeah, we're just going to replace that.
Well, yeah, we're just going to slice and dice. We could just do a bypass. That'd be great.
Yeah. We'll just stretch your vein from your leg all the way up to your heart and leave it at that.
Nothing that would be wrong with that at all. It's like redoing an expressway. It's perfect. It's fine. Elon will find a better way to do it at some point.
Oh, for sure. That's obvious.
And Scott says, all the best. Well, all the best to you over in the UK. Let us know what's going on over there, because it seems
stay alive. I would typically say, stay healthy, but no, I think at this point, just in UK, just stay alive.
And I don't know, is Oxfordshire, are you having the same issues that London and other areas are having there? I mean, because I know like in Ireland, it seems like some areas not touched by migrants, but if you go into, Dublin and, areas that are a little bit larger, that's where they all tend to migrate to for some reason.
No, that's just where they elect mayors.
True. That never works out very well. And it's interesting because a lot of people have such a small view of the world that you see this is going on in the United States. If you live here, and you'd have no idea that this is going on all throughout Europe, throughout the UK. And this is a worldwide phenomenon that is being pushed and financed by a small group of people. This is not accidental. This is not coincidental that all of a sudden migrants are coming from all over, and they're using bullshit like, well, you see, it's global warming. The places that they live, they can no longer live. It's like bullshit.
That's so bullshit. What, they all lived in Antarctica? Is that it?
I think so. Africa's getting too hot. There's areas in the United States. Florida was supposed to be completely underwater by now. We're kind of disappointed it's not. California. Yeah. And they go back.
And Africa is absolutely not getting too hot. The average temperatures are only high if you look at the actual maps that they have in it's not NASA anymore. It's the National Climate something. So, but anyway, if you look at the maps, the biggest difference in measured temperatures is around Alaska and further north.
Interesting, isn't it?
Where there's no factories and very few humans.
Well, they'll tell you that it's the butterfly effect, Gene. What happens
of course
here?
It is. Yeah.
But then nobody wants to talk about the fact that if you have the United States, let's go to zero emissions. We are now the best we emit nothing.
Well, Germany did that. I mean, that's a perfect example of what happens when you go woke with climate is you go out of business.
Well, one, you'll go out of business, but for everything that needs to be made, it's going to be made somewhere else, probably China, maybe India, where they are not following any such rules.
Why would they?
Exactly. But this is the concept. It's like, okay, so say you have a bunch of factories in the United States that are producing your latest iPhone, whatever it may be. And well, no, that's polluting too much. Well, if you just move that somewhere else, you're still getting the same pollution in the world. You're just moving it somewhere else, which you're now telling me there's no wall. It is, the world is the world. So the whole thing is warming. So the only thing you're doing by killing your country economically by sending all of this manufacturing overseas, you're not getting a cleaner world and you're just getting screwed economically. It's like, so nobody ever wants to talk about that on the left. Nobody ever wants to admit that, well, if they're still going to do all this, you can't have we have a worldwide, you can't have a worldwide climate change thing if it doesn't include China, Russia, and India, what percentage of the population are in
BRICS
those?
is not included, so that doesn't matter.
Who isn't included?
BRICS.
The UK?
Yeah, BRICS. How do you not know what BRICS is?
BRICS. I don't know. What's BRICS?
Brazil, Russia, India, China,
I've never heard that
South Africa
of as bricks, but okay.
Oh my God. Okay, you people can hear
you people.
What's missing from Darren's head. You need to make more donations so this guy can actually spend some time educating himself.
You people.
Oh, you not heard of bricks. Half my posts on No Agenda Social, back when I used to be on there.
Yeah, but you're not
half
on there
my
anymore.
posts were about bricks.
But I never really followed you.
Completely did not read a goddamn thing I ever posted, did you? Oh
No, I don't really read a whole lot on the internet, which is why
just because you're blind doesn't give you an excuse not to read my posts.
I am way more sane, and I'm like, no. It was great. We were watching
well, everybody else knows what bricks is,
and I do have I have one good eye that is better on some days than others, but it was great. We were watching, the wife and I, a Hallmark movie the other night, and there was a blonde chick playing a school teacher, and the wife like made some kind of comment like, wow, something about her being old. And I'm like, well, she's like way younger than you. And she like looked at me like, what are you talking about? I'm like, she's like 35. So while we're watching the movie, the wife gets her cell phone and like, you looking it up? Yeah. And then she finds the movie. She finds the chick, IMDb. Thank you for all that. And she's like, the chick's 39. And I'm like, what year was the movie made? I was right on it, baby. 35.
Nice.
35. I was like, gee, I was in like Gene's head, because that's what he looks for. It's like, there's that cutoff, 35. That's past the cutoff.
That's 35 is grandma age.
Well, I don't know if we want to go down that family tree. But thank you, Mark Hodra, also came in with $3.33.
18 and 18? That's what, kids used to be born at pretty regularly.
Yeah, well, usually, back in the day, it was like 14, 15.
That was way back in the day, but yeah.
But Mark just came in with $3.33. That's real American money. And then we have never to be outdone, Dale from Down Under.
Dale.
Coming in with $154.97. And while listening to the show, he's listening right now, Dale. We love you. We hope Australia's doing, Australian things.
Yeah. The good news is we're not hearing much about Australia, so hopefully that means you guys aren't doing as bad as the UK.
Hopefully you're taking care of business down there. But during the show, he also came in with another $26.25. So that's like 581 something, or 185. It's a lot.
Yeah, math is not your strong suit. We know.
Not on the fly. Well, that's why I have ChatGPT. It tells me everything I need to know.
Oh boy. This show is powered by ChatGPT. Thanks, CSB.
And on this, he says live donation. Only read if still live. Made it. Okay. First live jet. Oh, so it's the first time you've ever hit the live show. That is awesome, Dale.
Interesting. Yeah. We've only been on this time for like 2.5 years.
But what time is it in Australia? It's got to be.
That's a good question. So they are almost 12 hours. So it's got to be like 10 p.m.-ish.
So it's late there. We're like a nighttime show there, which actually we might work better as.
It depends. I think Australia has also got 4 time zones, so I don't know what time zone he's in, but
it's a lot.
Do we remember if he's on the West Coast or East Coast? Probably the East Coast is my guess.
I would not want to out him. The note that he sent in with the original
it's 1:49 a.m. there right now.
Damn.
In Melbourne, at least.
There's a lot of dingoes eating your babies.
Let's hope not.
He says,
it's mostly drop bears. Drop bears are the worst.
You mean koalas?
No, I mean drop bears. They're vicious.
Are they different than koalas, or is that just another name like bricks for your little Britain, Russia?
Oh, yes. I invented bricks, just like drop bears.
That's why people come to Unrelenting. It is for the unique content that you can't get anywhere else.
Yes.
He says, having an oligarch down under means conditional on Darren O forwarding you the funds. He buys you the steaks, Gene. Wait, I have to buy Gene steaks? I don't want to do that.
Yeah, when you come down on the train, you'll have to buy me some steaks.
True. Just hang out, be like, it takes like 24 hours, so I just have to be like, I jump on the train, go down, buy Gene a steak, jump on the train on the way back. 2 days later, back home, no problem.
I've never done a long distance train trip. I've thought about it plenty of times. I think it's probably not a good idea, but I've thought about it.
Same here.
The closest that I've done, or the longest trip, I should say, that I've done is Minneapolis to Duluth on a train back in the early 80s. And I got my finger pinched by the automatic door and it turned purple.
Well, you're not supposed to put your finger in the door.
Fond memory. Well, the doors open and close automatically. At least back then they did. Back in the 80s, when technology was prevalent, unlike today, we had things like automated doors.
And there were like not 5,000 sensors. Like, are you going to
There was zero sensors. There was like, what kind of moron would stick his fingers at a closing door? That's the sensors we had.
Right.
So, yeah, I ended up having like my fingernail fall off and everything. It was a pretty bad trauma to the old finger. Can't remember which finger it is anymore, but
I couldn't have been that bad then. How many hours of a trip was
when you're
that?
a kid? Like none of that matters.
Like what age were you? Like 5 or like 14?
No, I was probably like 9 or 10.
Back before.
Either way, it was
no beard at that point yet, though.
No beard, but you like I put a needle in the finger and then like.
Oh, you got to pop it.
It deflated.
Right.
Yeah, I kind of popped it. Exactly. You got to do that. Otherwise, there's more damage.
Now, I thought about the train trip as well, mainly because flying does not seem like any fun anymore unless I want to completely overspend like you do. I mean, you get your first class, there's enough leg room. For me, if you're not flying first class, it is a danger because you just don't fit in the seat.
Well,
being 6
I would
foot
say
6.
if you're not flying first class, you're not flying.
Well, that's true as well. That is true as well. But I just don't have the caviar guy money yet. And the train, it seems
as long as you got steak money, that's all I care about.
Right. Steak money is good. Little filet mignon, cooked rare, almost still beating. You can almost see the heartbeat still going on at that 50 beats per minute. But the train seems like it would be not bad. Although when you look at the prices that they charge you for like a private little room on the train,
it's the same. It's the same as flying first class. Yeah.
It's getting there. It is getting there. And you don't want to be.
Have you must have back in the day seen Silver Streak.
Remind me what that was.
It's a movie about trains.
Okay. Well, I don't remember. From that, I don't remember. I may have. It sounds somewhat familiar. I mean, I remember I saw Risky Business where Rebecca
it had
DeMornay.
Richard Pryor in it. Do you remember Richard Pryor? Silver Streak?
I remember Richard Pryor. I do not remember him in a movie about trains, though. Wait, no, you know what? I do remember him in an over-the-top like conductor outfit for some reason.
Gene Wilder, Richard Pryor. You don't remember this movie?
I don't think so. But if I saw it, it was probably like
Ned Beatty.
15 years old, was like 85, somewhere in there.
73.
Wow. Okay. I would have been 3.
It was on in replays a lot. It was a movie about, Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder on a train. And the train, I think there was.
What I'm hearing here is that you and I should go on a train trip and then do a podcast.
Well, no, I'm saying this was like one of those buddy movies on a train, kind of like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles with John Candy and.
My hands are just here between these pillows.
That's right.
Those aren't pillows. Steve Martin and John Candy.
Yeah,
does it
Steve
get
Martin,
any better than those two guys?
Same kind of deal. Well, it's hard to say. One of them has been dead a long time, but he was pretty damn funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. John Candy was a very, he played good characters. He didn't have a whole lot of range, let's be honest. But the characters he played were very sympathetic.
Yes, heartfelt characters.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
relatable.
Relatable, but even the character in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, who was a traveling sales guy, which, everybody hates, was still a kind of innocent deep down.
I don't remember
And
that, but I think we should take a train trip.
Yeah, because didn't Obama say you can keep your shoes on?
Maybe you don't have to
Keep your shoes
go
on,
through
no
the
mask
TSA.
required,
Well, that's it. I mean, again, the pain in the ass of the airport. And it seems like it would be an interesting thing if you had that little respite. I don't think I would want to do it just having a regular seat, because if you're going to sleep, even if it's in an uncomfortable, cramped little area.
If you're going to take a train, you need to have a cabin,
right?
Not a freaking seat.
Right, because if you fall asleep in a seat, you're probably getting robbed.
You're getting robbed no matter what. But you probably ought to have a cabin at least.
Yeah. I think that's the only way to go. And it's, 24 hours, so you're spending a full day.
Yeah.
In that train. So you're hoping that they
I do have a friend here in Austin who
just one
takes the who takes the train up to Fort Worth to visit his mom on a regular basis.
Is that part of the same line?
Yeah. You'd go through Fort Worth to get to Austin.
Oh, has Fort Worth ever crossed your mind? Great song, George Strait.
It's all his exes live in Texas.
That's true.
I think it's about a 3-hour train ride to Fort Worth, I believe. So it's pretty comparable to driving, maybe just a tad slower.
A little more relaxing.
It's arguable. The train has to make a lot of noise when it's crossing intersections. That's not super relaxing.
Well, only if you don't want them to run people.
And the thing, and this is just going by what I've seen in videos, but it seems like in or near urban environments like Chicago or Kansas City or Fort Worth or Austin, the train's maximum speed is about 25 miles an hour.
Yeah, they slow them down.
So it's way slower than the car until you get out of the city, at which point they'll get up to about 75.
That cruising altitude.
They don't really go that quick. Like I remember years ago, I was in Japan several times, but the last time I was there was 1999. It's been a damn long time.
Were you going to party?
Party like it was 1999 in Japan? Yeah, hell yeah. That same year, I was also in Hong Kong, and that was a party because that was Hong Kong immediately after shifting the ownership to China. So it was still very reminiscent of UK, but a lot of Chinese Hong Kongers, that's a term, were very much looking forward to their newfound release from the Imperial UK.
Because they thought China was going to be a lot better.
Well, no, because it was supposed to be an independent zone, economic zone or whatever.
The independent state.
I think that their mood changed about a year later, 2000. But in 99, their mood was very much like, hey, we for 100 years, we've been enslaved, and now we're free.
For about a year, until the other people were like,
yeah,
you're not all that free.
But the trains in Japan were borderline science fiction. First of all, they look freaking cool. The Shinkansen, which is the bullet train out in Japan, it has a schnoz. It has a nose on it for aerodynamic purposes and to, if it hits something, to make sure that you're like not going to damage the actual train.
Well, yeah, whatever you're hitting, fuck that.
There are people that commit suicide every year by going on the railroad tracks. Trains don't stop for people out there. So it's really cool shape, and it goes really freaking fast. I want to say that, it's been like over 20 years, but I want to say even back then in 99, I think the trains were going a little over 300 kilometers an hour. And being a techno nerd that I am, of course, I had a GPS with me on the train.
So you're looking
to verify
at your speed.
their claims. Yeah, exactly.
And it was probably a very smooth ride as well.
Oh, it's super smooth. Yeah. Yeah. It's a very, very smooth ride.
Not like on the any rail traffic around Chicago. You kind of feel like you're going to fall off the track at any time because it's so.
Yeah, and you do. And it happens with some regularity in the United States where there's really not any substantial upkeep of the railroad system. There used to be, when the railroads were built, there used to be a job for a dude to walk around and check the railroad ties and rails.
Right. Well, that's like those little things that were hand powered. You know, you pump it up and down. That was the old back in the day, the thing that just slowly went. And
the train cart. Yeah.
And they looked at the track.
Used to be like each guy was responsible for 10 miles of track. That's it. That's a full-time job. 10 miles. Right now, I think that it's been a while, but probably a decade ago, I watched something where they talked about like these fading jobs. There's like one person per 200 miles.
Well, so this seems like something that AI will.
Tracks are not getting maintained at all.
How is AI not taking this over yet? A little device that goes up and down the tracks and videos everything and looks at.
I think that technologically this is completely solvable. Here's the problem is they would probably have to replace about 60% of the tracks in the US, and no one has the budget for that.
True.
And if you know there's a problem, you can't run a train on it. You're better off not checking.
Kamala is going to fix that on day one.
Probably.
I can feel that coming.
You should watch Silver Streak and read up on bricks.
I will. I mean, I did watch the Howie Mandel Does Things with Katie Siegel.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I thought it was an interesting show. I mean, this seems like comparatively was, even though the look was completely different, this reminded me of talk shows back in the 80s, kind of a thing, that kind of a vibe. People were having fun. You know, it was the look of it obviously different because people are wearing headphones and sitting, you know,
well, some people refuse to put them on, even though they're sitting right next to them.
And
I don't know if you noticed that.
The daughter doesn't like the headphones. Is that it?
No, not
because Howie was wearing them.
Daughter's fine with no. Howie's fine with them too. No, I'm talking about guests. Is that you can tell which guests just don't give a fuck.
They're like
sitting on
a couch that I couldn't even tell how far away it was from where Howie was.
About 6 feet.
Okay, so it's close. It's a little. You couldn't really tell from the camera angles unless I missed.
So Howie's sitting at a desk with his daughter, and his daughter's like in her mid-30s, and practically a grandma.
Right, of course. Once you get to that age.
Yeah, pretty much. Although I think she's got an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old right now. But the guest is not sitting at a desk or even on a chair. The guest is sitting at a coffee table on a sofa across from Howie's desk. So
like
Howie's kind of looking down on the guest. Yeah. So I think that's by design.
I'm sure you get your position of power.
Exactly.
But the content was good. I mean, every guest is obviously going to be completely different.
Of course.
But Howie is he's a very smart dude. The most interesting thing was
it's a long way from a dude who used to put like latex gloves on his head.
Right. And do the little Roger, whatever the kid's name was, like, and he
always seemed stoned to me. He was always giggling.
Well, I think he was just goofy. I mean, I think that was part of the shtick. I mean, maybe he was stoned all the time. I don't. It was interesting that he admitted, and it was the reaction more so than anything else from Katie Siegel when he's like, I'm really a very conservative guy. And she's like, what? It's like, wait a minute. I mean, I thought for a minute she was going to walk off. Like, you're not voting for Trump, are you? But Howie's like, well, yeah, but I don't, again, you can survive as long as you don't flaunt that, I guess. But the fact that he even admitted that, like, I appreciate that.
Well, he's got the double hit going for him. Not only is he triple hit probably. Not only is he in the Hollywood I mean, he's not so much an actor, but he's actor adjacent.
Yeah, he's had gigs, which they talked about
He's
the
had
fact that he
movie
only made
gigs, he's
$2,500 an episode for St. Elsewhere.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking
Yeah,
I'd love to make $2,500 a day for a week for work. That would be not bad at all.
$2,500 in a week?
Well, for that kind of work.
That's just ever slightly above poverty wage, actually.
Yeah. Well, back then it wasn't.
Well, it wasn't that long ago.
It was like 25 years ago.
That's why memories. So we're talking about going to Japan in the 90s.
Memories.
Was that Neil Diamond?
No, I don't think so. I forget, though.
Who was Memories?
I don't remember. Hey, everybody. How you doing? This is
we
the
need more donations, guys, clearly, to get some vitamin B pills ordered up.
We got to get our B12. We got to get Gene's heart rate in proper lockstep with what it should be.
Mm-hmm.
But I would recommend people listen to the Howie Mandel show. But I will continue from Dale from Down Under, who says, I am due some holidays next year.
Nice.
He says, if you would be so kind, Sir Gene, brick a message to old Elon and tell him to put a launch on worthy of a trip and sort the weather out. So that'd be good.
Okay. So like a year from now. Perfect.
Dale wants to come out for a launch, and we could have the first ever Unrelenting barbecue.
Yep.
He says,
would you come out if Dale came out here to Texas? Would you drive down there or fly down there?
Dude, there's a train. I could just hop right on that train, be there in 24 hours.
I mean, that's barely nothing.
Right. Well, it's probably still way better than trying to get to O'Hare. Well, yeah, I wouldn't want to drive.
No.
And flying, again, still, I don't know.
Back in the day, that's just a 2-day drive.
And, legally, I don't even think I can fly right now because I never did get the new, you must get real ID. I don't have a real ID.
Well, you don't have a driver's license at all?
I do, but they don't count as a real ID yet.
As your state? Oh, your state is a socialist one. That's right.
Yeah. And we have to go in.
I think that's hilarious. All the states that are like illegal sanctuaries, they don't get to supply their actual citizens with anything that works as proof of citizenship. That's great.
And we got to go and you got to pay like $25 or something.
Yeah.
It's like, screw you. And the only reason to get it is if you want to fly.
At all? You could use your passport.
I had a passport. The last time I used it, though, was 2009. So I don't know if
it's expired.
That's expired. And, but they want you to like come in with, and this is the crazy thing. You have to bring other forms of identification.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, wait, my fucking driver's license isn't good enough?
That's not a form of ID. Sorry.
But what is at that point?
Passport.
But I don't have a passport.
Birth certificate.
But now really, how are you going to match somebody up? I can bring in a birth certificate that says my name's Dale from Down Under. How are they going to know?
You could.
So the concept like this is doing
under penalty of perjury of law with a minimum 1-year prison sentence.
Yeah, nobody goes to jail for that in Illinois, baby.
If you're white, you do.
Well, that may be true. I could say that I'm LGBTQ2Y2+.
But I mean, it's the same thing here, dude. Yeah, I got my driver's license renewed. I already had a real ID driver's license, and I got it renewed, and I had to bring my passport.
I've renewed my license twice without doing anything.
Yeah, and I had to bring my passport because in Texas, given that we're a border state, the entire time I've lived here, they have required that you prove that you're a citizen before you get your driver's license.
So I would have to do that before flying anyway. I don't think I need that to get on a train, though. So at least there's that.
I don't even think you need a driver's license for a train. You just kind of show up and give them a $12 ticket. And on aboard.
Come on down. We'll take you right down to Austin. Sir Gene will pick you right up at the station.
That's right.
In a Tesla truck? Would that be?
Yeah, you think I'm going to get mine by then? I doubt it.
True. Well, a year. I mean, get Elon on the phone. Be like, dude, Elon.
First day, I put a fucking down payment thing on the first day that they announced it 5 years ago.
Elon, get him his truck, man.
Yeah. Well,
your neighbors.
I'm not going to buy it at this point, but I was hoping for at least like a notification saying, "Hey, by the way, you're up in line. Your truck's ready for pickup."
It's almost
I haven't seen that.
It would be like what Apple would do. Like, it's almost time for you to get our awesome product. We want you to be ready to enjoy. Yeah. Dale says this was glossed over on the last show. However, I'd like to take a moment to salute Mrs. O. The comments Darren O relayed about Sir Gene out with his one black friend trying to pull a firm-breasted young thing in his BLM shirt. Fucking brilliant. People's Solidarity Medal for Comrade Mrs. O. Well, all she said is looking at Gene, she couldn't understand how he was going to attract any women. And then I just said he was independently wealthy, and then she understood everything. Because money talks.
Yeah.
And if the
money does talk.
If the new woman doesn't give him his B12 and his D, then she inherits his things much quicker.
Yeah, that's also true. Yes, exactly.
Like, no, make sure I'm taking the right pill, sweetie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I will. No, what's this new pill here? Oh, it's a new supplement. Don't worry, it's great. Not arsenic at all. He says, talk of the North.
Arsenic is a bad thing.
Talk of the North-South trade corridor being implemented. It facilitates India, Russia, China trade mostly over land. Yes.
Yes.
He says, coincidentally, it runs through Iran, which gives hope of the Baghdad to Berlin railway re-entering the chat. Oh, and then he says Venezuela in line to join BRICS. Oh, he knows about BRICS.
Oh, look at that. Other people know about BRICS and you don't. Shocker.
Oh,
you literally have a node that mentions BRIC and you're like, BRICS? Oh, what's BRICS? Did you just make that up? What is that?
I think that's what they make homes out of. I got a brick house. I don't know.
God.
Conga supplies lithium to China. See BYD Uber deal.
That's true.
It's going to be interesting. And that too many people, I think, are single-sighted, Dale, and they don't understand anything going on outside of the United States, and two, they don't believe that there are actually evil countries. I think the socialists and commies here really believe like, oh, China and Russia, those are just nice. They're great.
They are nice.
You know, nothing to worry about. They're going to be our friends.
No, that's two different things. Being nice has nothing to do with being friends of the United States.
The
way the U.S. has been acting, nice countries wouldn't be friends.
Sending Kamala over to try to get a deal.
That might work.
Like, can you imagine? I'm just trying to picture her sitting in a room with any other world leader and having that go well somehow.
Well, she is experienced in getting men to do what she wants them to do.
That's okay. That's a good point. But I think she's kind of past her I think she's past her expiration date, though, at being the one to deliver the goods.
Just put a bag in her head.
Hey-oh! Yeah, Dale says, stay unrelenting, mofos. The BS is thick and unrelenting. Yes, it is. That's why we do the show, and we thank you for listening, especially live. For the first time, we are broadcasting this signal all over the globe, from Chirac in Austin, Texas, all the way to Australia, live.
It's amazing. The signal stretches that far. It's truly amazing.
It blankets the globe.
Did you ever know you were going to be an international radio host?
No.
See?
And that was the strangest thing, I believe, when...
You do believe.
Starting to do the podcast that wasn't as much, hey, we got 20 people to listen, we got 200 people to listen, we got 2,000 people to listen. It was looking at the stats and going, I think somebody in the Netherlands is listening, or I think somebody in, all different corners of the world is listening. And that's something I don't think you really consider until you're waist deep in it. And it's like, well, this is just kind of weird that you're able to have that kind of reach, especially live. I mean, what's one thing when you're putting the MP3s out there, but now that the streaming technology is where it is, I mean, I've had Lady Vox.
For like 20 years now. Yeah.
But I mean, it's even to the point where I've had people like Lady Vox commenting while listening live on an airplane at 30,000 feet. It's just a very weird world that it's like the technology is there for people to access what you're doing pretty much anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And we appreciate everybody for listening. We appreciate everybody who has helped support the show. I mean, we've gone a long time with no donation. So it's a very weird day where your buddy, dude named Ben, I'm like, oh, wow, he stepped up. He's going to be the big guy at $51.99. And then Scott Gorman said, nope. And then Dale from Down Under was like, double nope.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then I think somebody just donated today already.
And this may be the largest.
Crooklyn, did you mention Crooklyn?
Single day Kirkland or...
C. Brooklyn.
Oh, C. Brooklyn, yes. Yes, I did. He is also the guy that said this is the most underrated show on the interwebs. It's true.
Yeah.
He came in with that 5,000 Satoshis and said, thanks for the entertainment.
And you got Drip Scott?
Yeah. And Comic Strip Blogger.
Okay, I don't listen to what you're saying, so
obviously this is so
I couldn't pay attention to you making those donation things. But
we also saw a video of there was one of these guys, and I know there's a few of them, but this is a white dude on YouTube that speaks Chinese and other languages. You've probably seen
I know
him.
the guy you're talking about. Yeah.
And he is back in China, and one of the things he was having done in like the little outdoor, I don't know if it was outdoor, I think it was, but like mall kind of an area, where this chick was cleaning his ears with like a thing that goes in the ear and some little tool, and you like see everything in the ear, and it looks like the slime that you used to see on Nickelodeon. And there's like little black pieces coming out, and I'm like, is this a thing? Is
you're talking about Shama?
Is that what they call it? The ear cleaning procedure?
No, that's the guy's name.
It could be.
Yeah,
but the ear cleaning thing kind of
he's a
weirded
New York
me out.
Jewish guy.
Yeah,
and he speaks Chinese,
and he freaks everybody out because nobody thinks a white guy should speak Chinese.
Right. Although I will say this, there's another couple of guys that do the same thing he does as well. They all do a similar thing in every language that people are like, oh, I didn't know you speak this.
Yeah,
they repeat phrases over and over in a way that a native would not. And I noticed this in like several different languages that he was speaking, where like if somebody says, I guess it sounds kind of like you're anxious. It's kind of like, yeah, I'd like to burger. I'd like to have a burger. You know, who speaks like that? Well, Trump does, I guess. But typically, most people don't repeat things multiple times when they're speaking. And that is a characteristic that these guys have to combat what otherwise would have been slow speech, because they need more time to process a foreign language, like, you know, everybody does who's not a native speaker, because you're not thinking in that language. You're thinking in English and you're doing a quick translation into the other language. And you're going to take longer than you would in your native language to say something. But the trick that these guys seem to employ, and I like, there's at least 3 guys, he's one of them on YouTube, that do a similar thing to where like, oh, I can speak 20 different languages. Like, yeah, which you totally more than most people. Absolutely. Don't want to take that away from them. But nowhere near like a native. Like, you can speak it to where you're understandable, but you're coming across as a foreigner who's learned the language and not anywhere near like a native speaker.
Right. No, and the main thing would be understanding what people are saying about you when they don't think you can understand.
Yes.
That's the skill.
Yes, exactly.
I mean,
and that's always funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen that used in movie, you know, anything where somebody shouldn't understand and you just assume that the person won't. I mean, especially Chinese. It's one of those languages. Japanese is right up there. So people like our buddy Void Zero who are learning Japanese, it's like, it is a big undertaking to learn. Yeah. You know, more so than just Spanish or French or, you know, something like that, I think. it's way more difficult, although I guess it's probably a little easier to speak Chinese and Japanese than to learn all of the symbols as well that represent their, it's like,
I think reading Chinese would be more difficult, or at least reading, actual books, maybe not reading like storefront signs. Those are going to be fairly simple, but
it's like this should be the least you can do when entering into an area, which we had talked about Peter Santangelo or Santolino, whatever the guy's name is, that does the travel stuff.
He does these long form documentaries of multiple episodes per a particular ethnic group or a particular group of religious people.
Yeah, and he does a lot of interesting stuff. And I thought, wow, he goes into some of the less desirable areas of the United States. And then I found Brooklyn. A guy that is doing the same thing as him, that same style video that was from South Africa. I think he said South Africa and Germany were. And he went into Venezuela, and I'm like, okay, this is taking it.
In the favelas,
And I think what saved his ass, because everywhere he was walking, he was immediately recognized as gringo, doesn't belong here.
Mm-hmm.
And people would yell stuff at him, but he would immediately answer. And the fact that he spoke Spanish well enough, I think made it so people didn't want to just totally, rob him and kill him right on the on the spot. It was like, okay, there is something to be said where if somebody comes into your house like that and, okay, they learned your language. That is, impressive. But I saw another one of these guys who didn't speak any Korean, as far as I can tell, went into North Korea. And I'm like, that's ballsy as well as a white.
Oh, I would totally go into North Korea. North Korea's got awesome resorts, man.
I was unaware. I mean, I'm sure that, totally. the place this guy was in didn't look like the Taj Mahal or anything, but
really,
I will say that the underground, the tube, the mass transit system, like way better, way cleaner, way safer than anything in the United States.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And some very pointy chicks. That is no doubt about it. I mean,
in general, North Korea is way safer than the United States.
Oh, yeah. If you don't mind looking at pictures of Kim Jong-un on every building that you go to and every poster on every wall, then...
No, the problem in North Korea is for the people that live in North Korea. They love tourists. They don't care if you're coming from the United States or if you're coming from Europe or if you're coming from, most places. They don't really like black people. But other than that, it's a very, very positive experience for tourism. They've got ski resorts. They've got mountain villages. They've got all kinds of cool places to go. And the locals can't go there. So they're exclusively for other travelers.
So sign up now for our first Unrelenting getaway right into...
Sponsored by North Korea.
Right into North Korea.
Uh-huh. Well, that's the thing. It's like they're made out to be this evil country. And again, I wouldn't want to live there. Pretty obvious that it's a horrible place to live.
Right. You wouldn't want to fall under the rules.
But I've been to quite a few countries I wouldn't want to live in. And
I thought it was interesting.
Going there is not a bad experience.
Some of the things that were illegal was like if the supreme leader is on the front page of the newspaper, you cannot fold the paper through his image.
Yeah.
They will put you in jail for that.
No, they just have a lot of respect for their leader. That's all.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with the respect portion of it.
You fold a picture of Trump and MAGA will put you away.
You think so? They're like, oh no, you folded
have
right
you not
through
him. Have you not seen over the last couple of weeks all the MAGA deplatformings that are happening?
I have not. The MAGA people are deplatforming others. Or,
are you kidding? Yeah. Kyle Rittenhouse, the guy that defended himself in
Minneapolis,
Wisconsin.
Oh, Wisconsin, right. I'm sorry.
Had
during the George Floyd riots.
He said that he's going to vote for a write-in candidate. He's going to vote for what's his name? Our guy.
Our guy?
I'm blanking out here.
Who are we voting for?
Isn't kicking in.
Trump.
Our guy from Texas. Dr. Oh God, what's his name? Paul. Dr. Paul.
Who's Dr. Paul?
Oh my God. Now you got to take, God, what's his first name? He was the candidate for president a decade ago.
Oh, Ron Paul?
Ron Paul. Yeah. Dr. Paul.
Isn't he dead?
No, he's not dead. He's got a podcast. Jesus Christ, dude.
Ron Paul's still alive? I know.
Oh my God. Yes. Ron Paul is still alive.
Is he still running?
I don't think he's running, but he's walking.
he's walking with purpose.
Does a podcast daily. He's got a daily podcast, dude.
You used to do that as well, and then nobody listened. And
I know. But
Jay Finley says he ain't dead. Well, are you sure? Can we double check?
Oh my God, somebody needs to check your brain, buddy.
Ron Paul. For some reason, I thought Ron Paul was dead. I mean, I knew Rand Paul's around, but I didn't know Ron Paul. He's got to be like 8 million years old.
So he's going to write in Ron Paul because, the Ron Paul represents his political viewpoint, which I think he does for a lot of people. Ron Paul was a very libertarian-minded conservative, or a very conservative-minded libertarian, whichever you want to pick. And holy shit, did the storm of MAGA go down on this poor kid. People were canceling him left and right, uninviting him from being a guest on their talk shows and podcasts and things. They were talking about how nasty and evil he is and that he's a traitor. It's like, what the fuck? What? First of all, it's his first time voting. There's nothing wrong with voting for a third party or a write-in candidate as your first time voting. You're going to remember that for the rest of your life. It's a neat thing. And if you don't want to vote for Trump, don't frickin' vote for Trump. But the MAGA crowd has gone religious about this. And that's a bad sign, because that just smacks of QAnon. And the QAnon people were frankly responsible for a lot of the losses that happened. Not for the president, but for the other positions in elections, because they kept waiting, and it's all part of the plan. It's all, Trump is going to come back in office, and he's doing this just to catch the swamp. And then he and the military are going to take over and then put all these swamp people in prison. How'd that work out for you guys?
I don't think the swamp was drained.
You think? Yeah, the swamp beat the crap out of Trump, let's face it.
And Ron Paul is 88, so you can kind of see where I thought he might be dead.
You're ageist.
Probably. I was like, I understand at some point you're going to go.
He does a podcast.
Well,
anyway.
That'll keep him alive longer? That's what
I've heard. Yeah, because you can't miss a podcast because people get mad. So.
They do. They get very pissed off very quick. Ron Paul's like, I'd like to die, but then people are going to be pissed off. But I understand I don't know how the MAGA people are going to cancel someone. I guess within their little group they can.
And then the latest one is Joe Rogan, who also announced that he's not voting for Trump. And it's like, what? You're betraying Trump. Screw you. You're the worst. We always knew you were a socialist, and we're going to boycott you. I mean,
there's something to be said.
First
for
of all,
understanding.
Good luck. Most people that listen to him are apolitical. First of all, his general audience are people that like comedy, and to some extent, like the wacky conspiracy theorists that he has on. These are people that very likely don't vote at all, period. So,
but I understand the concept for any election, this one especially. You have two candidates that have a shot. And if you say you're going to vote for somebody else, whether it's Mickey Mouse or Ron Paul, most people will look at that as a vote that could have been gone to their person, whichever that may be, rather than thrown away. And I think that is accurate.
Oh, they absolutely look at it. And this is part of the problem. It's like, why the hell are you assuming that somebody has to vote for your guy? Nobody is like, well, if you vote for a libertarian, you're throwing your vote away and you're frankly costing us the election.
Well, it's the very dangerous
How about you
place.
try harder to get their vote instead of bitching about how their vote was supposed to go to your guy and it didn't?
Well, it's the dangerous place that we're in right now, which is you're either with our side or you're against it. And if you're against it, you're an enemy. And I don't think that is something that is unique to MAGA or to the Antifa left. I think it's finally made its way all the way around.
Exactly. That's kind of my point, is that the fact that MAGA is now acting this way, like Antifa was and still is sad, because it's taking the worst qualities of the guys you're fighting and then utilizing them. Like, there's plenty of other things that I think MAGA could be doing, like vote harvesting for one.
Right. Oh,
There's
yeah.
no
Ballot
reason that
harvest
couldn't happen
all day
on the right.
long. That's what they need
What's
to
that?
do. They need to ballot harvest all day long within the legal means, of course.
Yeah. And instead there's more infighting within these groups of people. Do you think that making fun of Joe Rogan or really bashing him for not voting or saying he's not going to vote for Trump, and incidentally, he probably still will, because the guy that he said he's going to vote for is very likely to drop out before the actual election happens, which is Robert Kennedy.
Well, yeah, it seems like he doesn't want to drop out, but it seems that
no, but I think he's going to. I think he's going to get a deal from the Democrats saying, look, your family's been part of the political machine for 60 years or more. Is it 70 years now? The last thing you want to do is ruin their legacy. We'll give you a position in the administration, in Kamala's administration, and you drop out, and then we don't split the Democrat ticket.
Do you really believe it would be a split?
He'll do it.
Do you really believe he would take enough off the top?
He'll take more from Democrats than he would from Republicans, that's for sure.
Well, this is why they're playing dirty.
He's been a
with
lifelong
them
Democrat
to get him off the ballot.
Well, right. That's my point. Is I think that he will do it. He will get off the ballot if he gets something in trade, and something in trade is going to be a position in administration.
Well, here's the thing. What if he gets something in trade? The people are like, we got to trade for you too. We have a better deal.
No, they don't. He already talked to the Trump people, and they don't have a trade for him.
Right. That would just be dumb. But I mean, that's
what happened. I mean, this is all, you're clearly not keeping up with the news. That's Trump's
well, it's because it's all very hard to verify what's going on in those kind of circles. Because you don't really know. And it's interesting when you look at it seems he lied.
I agree. I think the smart move for Trump's people would be to get him on board, not drop out, keep running, and I wouldn't have him endorse Trump either. I would keep him running for the rest of the campaign and draw those Democrat votes away from Democrats. And then after the election is over, then Trump can look magnanimous and offer him a cabinet position.
Right.
And frankly, I think he could totally have a position that will look at medical companies, their rules, regulations, and reevaluate the lack of accountability for vaccines. Like, that's his bailiwick. That's what he's into. And frankly, he's in the right side of that. So let's have him take that forward.
Well, and here's
it doesn't matter it doesn't matter whose administration it is, Democrats or Republicans. Like, that's a topic that he wants to focus on, that both of them could offer him.
Well, but there's an even bigger player than RFK Jr. that has been known to want a big payday and sell their allegiances and what they say is important for the right deal. And that's Joe Biden.
Alex Jones?
Joe Biden.
Oh, Joe Biden? Yeah.
Here's the thing. Now, imagine this. Next week, Monday, they fucked Joe. They've pulled his power from him. Allegedly, they probably went after his family and they said, Joe, you got to get out. And Joe is not happy about it. And what if Hunter juices up Joe and Joe goes out there like, we're only going to let you speak on Monday because we want to sweep you under the rug so fast. We're having our...
Yeah, you're only the acting president of the country.
I know. Mm-hmm. You're the actual president. He's not just acting. He's acting very not presidential. But imagine what kind of deal this would be worth if Joe Biden got out there on Monday night in Chicago at the Democrat National Convention and said, fuck the Democrats. They screwed me. Vote Trump. As they're trying to cut his mic off and...
Okay, MAGA.
Wouldn't that be great?
Okay, QAnon. It's more like not MAGA, QAnon.
But this has been a weird election cycle.
Zero.
I know there's more than zero. Zero means there's no way.
It's really not. It's zero chance.
Trump could be like, "Hey, Joe, I'll pardon your kid. I'll pardon you. It'll be great."
Trump should pardon his kid regardless.
Well, I would agree, but he has to get the job first. I can't believe Joe hasn't pardoned the kid yet. Because I would do that.
He said he wouldn't.
Yeah, but that was before he knew he was walking out the door. A lot of people say things and then change their mind.
He could still do it on the last day of his presidency, which is when most people, including Obama, pardon everybody.
Yeah, but what if he doesn't make it to his last day? Joe has got to be thinking forward here. You already saw what they're willing to do to you, Joe.
Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot of chance of him not making it. He's already bowed out. He is zero risk to them.
He is if he stands up and says, vote for Trump, man. My party,
he's not gonna say
just like my party tried to screw Donald J. Trump, they're trying to screw me. Don't trust Democrats, Joey. That would be great. And if he put his hand up in the air and yelled, fight, fight, fight. Oh, what a moment that would be.
You know what else would be great? If pigs flew.
You could put him on a plane. I mean, not first class probably, but you could put him on a plane.
Okay.
I mean, this is the kind of election cycle that we are in where, again, Kamala Harris, people, a week before she was announced as the nominee, all of the polling had her level of support below Joe Biden. We had a roundtable on CNN.
The lowest.
Right. There was a roundtable on CNN. That had all of these talking heads.
In the history of the United States, she's literally the least popular VP that the country's ever had.
Right. We had CNN a week before literally saying, maybe the only way Joe could win is to cut her from the ticket. There was a whole segment on CNN.
How do we replace Kamala?
Uh-huh.
The next president. And that's the thing. She's the likely winner. I mean, let's face it. The elections don't actually decide who the winner is in this country. It's the mail-in ballots, which there are boxes and boxes of, that decide who's the winner. So she has a very good chance of being the first female president. She's got a very good chance of winning the election.
I give the Republicans credit for pushing early voting this time, something they did not do last time. That, I think, is a push. I think you're absolutely correct.
There's a danger with that. There's a danger with everything, too. Because if you push early voting, then they can simply throw away the ballots of people that vote for Trump and replace them with ballots for Kamala.
Well, that could be
done
no matter what.
And the numbers still add up correctly.
That can happen
if people
no matter
actually
what.
Turn up at elections in person, then the number of people voting could be greater than the number of people of the population of adults over 18 in the country. That's a very likely scenario as well. Because if Trump has as much support as a lot of people seem to think he does, and he certainly, I think, has more support this time around than he did last election. And last election was a record-setting number of votes for Trump.
Right. If Biden beat him. Right. Biden beat him, but at that point, Trump in the last election got more votes than any presidential candidate
any
ever.
president in history. Yeah. And so this time, it's almost assured that Trump will get more votes than he got last time because there are plenty of people that were red pilled and are now going to vote for Trump. There are, I'm sure there are some, but I think there are very, very few people that voted for Trump last time that would vote for Kamala this time. So Trump will have potentially an undisputable over 50% of the voting public's vote.
Which is why you need to do the ballot harvesting, which is why for the people that
Kamala
can't get
might
out,
still win.
You can do the early voting. You've got to play every trick in the book. And the interesting thing is, we talked about this at length. The thing that we believe made a big difference in the last election was the Zuck bucks and the money that was spent by Mark Zuckerberg throughout Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and those states that everything was on a razor thin margin when it comes to winning the electoral college. But now this time we have Musk. We have Elon Musk, who I don't think is a savior. I'm with Adam Curry on that, but he is now in control of one of the most used social media
you repent
platforms.
now.
What?
Oh, you repent now. You better be calling him a savior. He's our Lord and Savior.
I do not want to be blaspheming. I do not want lightning to hit me.
Repent, or a rocket will fall on your head.
I believe the fact that he is openly touting Trump and openly poking fun at all the stuff the Democrats are doing, I think this could have an effect. As crazy as that may seem, I think that could have an effect, and I think that alone would have been enough. If you look at the last presidential election and you turn Twitter instead of the complete anti-conservative bastion of filth that it was and people getting shadow banned, and you turn that in the other direction, I think that makes a big difference. And I don't think Musk is going to be shadow banning the left, but they seem to have left X now on their own because, oh my God, they're letting the right people speak.
Yeah, exactly. I think certainly having X be out there and certainly it's having some impact. I don't know if it's having enough impact, but certainly it's having some impact. The problem with X, just like Twitter, is it's still mostly just keyboard warriors.
Right, which you're going to go to jail
percentage,
now.
A large well, in the UK you will, for sure.
No, the UK is going to extradite us.
Yeah, that's right. They're going to extradite. That'll be, well, and I've already put in a call to Interpol to start arresting these UK politicians that are breaking international laws, because
that's a good idea.
They're threatening genocide. That's literally a crime that is pursued by Interpol.
Now, I want to know, this is totally off the subject, but I looked at how many people were listening on X right now, and it's like 24, so not good. But I also saw Grok Gene. Did you notice that in that image, you're using both a desk stand and a boom stand on the same microphone?
Of course I noticed that. Yes.
Is that how you actually do it? I mean, that's a pretty interesting way to position the microphone.
Yeah. No, I have, but you know what? It's interesting because I have neither.
Ooh.
I have the low mic arm.
Oh, like the fancy Bandrew arm.
I don't know what kind of arm Bandrew has. So it's like the Joe Rogan arm.
Right, that's what Bandrew has. He's a professional.
Okay.
He has even better audio than Joe Rogan.
Is he though?
I think so.
I don't know. I think
what annoys me more, and I know I'm the fucking asshole. Don't get me wrong. But when I listen to the Rogan show, when I listen to the Dale Earnhardt Jr. show, which it's very much the same Rogan setup.
Yeah.
And they use the Shure SM7B, and the plosives are out of control. It's like fucking put bigger windscreens on or fucking do a little bit of post-processing. They have some great filters that will minimize the plosives. Yeah, you can do
it digitally. You don't need to put bigger.
Right. If you don't want to do it, if you don't want it in the frame, you can post-process. It would take a little bit of time afterwards. But get rid of those obvious plosives. I can't stand plosives when listening to things.
Yeah, you can't stand what?
Plosives. Especially because I'm usually listening on my watching on my big 60-inch television with my JBL speakers with the 12-inch woofer. So the plosives are like, woo, 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 woo. I'm like, no.
Okay. Well, that's probably why you're more sensitive to that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's like I don't want. I mean, if you're listening on your phone, I get it. The plosives aren't going to have much of.
You're not going to hear diddly squat from your phone speakers.
But the information that's putting, and I guess maybe most of these people aren't mastering with proper headphones or
I don't
studio
think most
monitors.
of these people employed a producer for their audio skills. They employed a buddy who needed a job.
Probably, yeah.
I'm serious. When I've talked to
well, that's
people
how I hired you for this show.
Are doing podcasts.
You were like, I really need a new podcast. Nobody's listening to
it'd be nice if you start paying me at some point too. But yeah,
didn't you read your contract? Didn't you read the
you're
fine
rolling
print?
in money, I hear.
Didn't you see the little fine print that's like only your salary starts once we raise $100,000 a year? Then
I did see that. Yeah,
then the salary kicks in.
I think we're beyond the 100,000, aren't we?
I don't think we're still. I think we're still
Bitcoin,
a little short.
100,000 sats, 100,000.
Oh, sats. Yeah, we got that. But in dollary dues.
Yeah. So
I mean, Dale's only got so much. So
he does have only so much. That's true.
If you're still awake, Dale, in Australia, you are doing yeoman's work. Thank you.
Or even captain's work.
Whichever he prefers. I mean, it depends. If it's Starship. And here's the other thing. Now, when I was going through and flipping through on my Roku YouTube app, looking for, what's it recommending for me? I'm starting to see a bunch of Star Citizen stuff. I'm like, I do not play Star Citizen. Just because I know Gene does not mean I want to buy spaceships.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's because clearly Google isn't listening in on your conversations.
No, not at all. They're not making that connection between us. No. Just like our dryers are not talking to each other.
No, dryers are not at all talking to each other.
Stop drying. Well, it'll piss them off. It'll be good content. Stop drying.
Exactly.
At least nothing has exploded into flames as of yet.
Well, thankfully, yeah, that's a positive aspect to it. But
that's where the electric dryers are a little safer.
Did you see that one of the things Musk is being credited with, and I don't know if it's him or not, but it's certainly his company, is they changed the gun emoji.
Yes, I saw you post this.
Back to a gun.
I know. I actually saw you post something.
Oh, wow.
But you posted it to dude named Ben, I think.
Probably. That's why you saw it, yeah.
Right, because I follow what his people post to him more than what you post.
Not mine, though.
Right.
I mostly post animals, though. I mostly post like bears and cougars and things.
But you don't like cougars. They're way too old.
No, I mean actual cougars. Not people pretending to be cougars.
That's different. I get it. Okay.
Yeah. Actual cougars are very cool. They're big kitty cats.
Do you have one in the home yet or they fight with the snake?
No, I've always wanted. No, they would definitely fight with each other, and the snake would lose, but the cougar might suffer something as well. But I've always wanted to have either a bear or like a cougar pet, because to me it seems like the appropriate type of pet.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. And
people would come from miles around just to watch.
Well, and people already don't come to my house because I have a 18-foot snake. But man, if I had a bear, oh my God, nobody would come within miles of my house. It would be perfect.
You're like this. At least the snake they think is probably sleeping, so they're okay.
They just don't want to walk in the house. But yeah,
well, I can understand that.
Walking around the outside. There is there are some bear-related YouTube channels that are really good. One of which is a guy, I think he's up in Vermont or Maine or something, that has a black bear female that always visits his house with her cubs. And it's super cute. And, she's a wild animal. She's not a trained pet bear or anything. She just lives not too far away, and she's grown up and familiar that the guy is not dangerous and that there's bird food to be eaten there.
Hangs out for a little snack.
Yeah. But she always brings her cubs, and they're so damn cute when they're trying to climb around his porch and, come up and smell his pants and stuff. And
it's all cute until they grow up and kill them.
No, they're still cute when they're big. Black bears are absolutely a reasonable size animal. They don't get past about 350 pounds. And, they're about 6 feet standing on their hind legs. So they're not too big. They're about 3 feet when they're on their normal forelegs. So they look just like the toy teddy bears. They're kind of brownish black color with their big round ears and rubber nose.
They look like little docile creatures.
They are kind of docile creatures that have a lot more power and much bigger claws than you would think, but they act like very cute little critters.
Like, as long as you feed me, everything's good.
That's exactly right. Just don't not feed them.
Yes, because then you will become the food.
Well,
they don't have much of an attachment.
They have an attachment to food.
Yeah, you might be food.
They absolutely have an attachment to food. I've always hypothesized that there is a potential for the next evolutionary dominant species to be bears. If bears had the intelligence of apes, they are by far the winners in their arms race. And they certainly have the capacity for the intelligence of an ape. They have a larger brain than we do. But for whatever reason, the apes evolved group dynamic skills, which led to language skills, which led to all kinds of other things much faster. And bears never really figured out fire. If bears figure out fire, the days of humans are numbered.
Sounds very apocalyptic. We still have guns.
We are in an election cycle.
We still have the guns, Gene. If the bears can figure out how to use guns, then
I would be in favor of doing a program to try and teach a bear how to use a gun.
Now that's a YouTube channel I want to watch.
Yeah, how would you watch that?
Gene teaches Yogi Bear to go out and steal
cool thing is that
baskets with an AR-15.
They're perfectly happy sitting on their ass and holding a gun with their hands.
Just like people.
They're just like people. Now, they don't have opposable thumbs, but they have 2 to 3 inch claws that would fit perfectly in position for pulling a trigger back. So you just got to get them to figure out how to aim. But I think it's very possible. Bears are one of the most trainable animals. Back in the old country, where people routinely have pet bears, they also had them in the circus, and the bears did amazing acrobatic work.
Yeah, and then they screwed Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey and said, no more animals.
Well, the treatment of animals in circuses is, in any country, is usually not very good.
That would be true.
It's just the nature of a traveling show. It's and frankly, it's the nature of putting animals to work.
Yes, in captivity, where they are not
in
their natural habitat, shooting people with AR-15s.
I think that would be totally natural for them. I love the video of the orangutan driving a golf cart perfectly following the road. I mean, to me, it's like, dude, if an orangutan can learn how to drive a golf cart,
but can it hit a 3-iron?
How to drive a car? Oh, I think he can. They have muscles that are about 3 times more dense than humans. So even though they're shorter, they're about 100 pounds. And I think you ought to be able to whack that golf ball pretty well.
No Beret says Penn of Penn and Teller says circus animals are the most pampered animals on earth. Well, I think it depends on the circus. I think it depends on the circus.
I think if they're referring to Siegfried and Roy, that's probably true. I think those are some of the most pampered animals.
We know how that went.
And yet, we know how that went, even though they were pretty pampered. But they're still working animals. Like, if they were totally not working, if they just had pet tigers
Right,
that
as
had
one
no
would do.
requirement to do tricks, then I don't think there would have been an attack. I think the attack only happens when an animal doesn't feel like working and a human's trying to get them to work.
Yeah, you've sent a few of those videos of the people with the big cats as pets.
There's a lot of people, especially in Russia, that have big cats and bears as pets. It's not an unusual thing at all.
It's very unusual for us here.
Well, it is. And then we, like in Texas, we have a lot of parks, privately owned facilities that have exotic animals, anything from zebras, giraffes.
How many zebras do you have in the backyard right now?
I would love to have zebras. I actually, that's one of my favorite animals in terms of the, I think, undervalued animals. A lot of people think zebras have a bad rep, or I think they have a bad rep. A lot of people think that zebras are nasty, but they're not. I've never once been bitten by a zebra, and I have fed and petted zebras probably 20 times. And they have absolutely, bar none, the softest nose of any animal. It is velvet. It feels like you're touching a velvet rug. I mean, or velvet shoes or something. It's super, super soft.
Gene's shoe fetish finally comes out on Unrelenting.
Yeah, the first time I mentioned shoes in 5 years. Clearly a fetish. Yes.
Finally comes out. Hence,
Yeah.
finally surfaces. But I do have to ask the question, how many animals have you been bitten or mauled by? Because you said zebras are one that never has. I want to know how many animals have.
I've been bitten by one animal.
Just one.
The worst type of animal
Human.
imaginable. A chihuahua.
I thought maybe you're going to say the human female.
No, it bit my ankle and it hurt like hell.
Yeah, those dogs have no fear and they are insane.
And their teeth are like frickin' needles, man. They're tiny.
Yeah.
And so they literally, like a normal dog, if they're biting you, they're not going to break skin. You're going to feel it, right? It'll be painful, but they're not actually going to sink their teeth into you. The Chihuahua's teeth are literally little needles, and they just go right in the skin and infect everything.
Yeah.
And worst kind of animal out there, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, my buddy Ron, God rest his soul, he had a little Chihuahua named Lola, and that I did not want to be anywhere near that dog. I'm fine with German Shepherds. And it's like,
yeah, same here. Same here. Big dog, no problem. Chihuahua, nope, not going there.
Because they are mean. Nasty. They bark. They want to nip at you for whatever reason, nonstop. They're very much like they like one person, where a lot of dogs are like friendly with everybody. Chihuahuas seem to like one person and they want to screw everybody else.
Pretty much. And they completely are always fighting out of their weight class. It took all the mental fortitude that I had to not step on this stupid thing after he bit me.
Kick it into the next county.
My natural reaction immediately was like, what do you do if there's a rat that's trying to bite you? You step on it.
Oh, yeah, you get rid of it.
This is basically a rat dog.
They kind of look like rats, too. Yeah.
It is a rat.
They're
it's
not
half rat,
cute
half dog, mostly rat.
Yeah, they're not cute looking animals.
They're nasty. They're the nastiest animals. And like I've gotten stung by bees, but very rarely. And it's not a.
I've never been stung by a bee or wasp.
Oh, that's good.
I've tried to avoid that.
I actually cultivate wasps.
Well, that's also how you keep people away from your house. If you have a huge nest right in front of your front door, people are like,
I have 6 nests. I have 6 wasp nests right on top of the front door.
So people get to your door and they're like, I'll just see Gene.
They look up and they're like, oh shit. But I like wasps because they're cleaner. They actually clean the insects outside, kind of like spiders do inside. Wasps do outside. They're predatory animals.
So basically,
now, if
your
I
whole
had honeybees,
system
then I wouldn't want wasps.
No, well, that would
no.
Be
My
bad.
whole system is. See, you got to remember, I'm an environmentalist. I like living in harmony with nature, and so I like to have that natural balance be fulfilled by insects of the appropriate type.
And the ones that aren't the appropriate type.
Well, I mean, I don't want fire ants in my bed.
No, you've had that too.
I have had that more than once, unfortunately.
So is that worse?
Not a pleasant feeling.
Fire ants or Chihuahua, which is worse?
Chihuahua.